President Donald Trump addressing affordability as he talked to the nation in primetime last night, while Governor J.B. Pritzker in the state of Illinois, which has the highest property taxes in the country and the second highest gas taxes and corporate taxes among the highest, and all kinds of spending that's at record levels year after year under Pritzker's watch, and more tax increases on the way for transit. Governor Pritzker blasting the president, saying that things are less affordable under President Donald Trump. It is Illinois in Focus Daily. I'm Greg Bishop with you each and every weekday morning. Be sure to get the headlines in your inbox at thecentersquare.com. Again, thecentersquare.com. All right, so last night, President Donald Trump delivered around an 18-minute speech to the nation in primetime, and he talked about affordability. He talked about the border. He talked about the economy. He talked about tariffs, and he also talked about a bonus going to members of the military worth $1,776. And that, of course, is 1776 being the birthday of this country with the Declaration of Independence, and next year in 2026 celebrating the 250th birthday of the U.S. So the president seeming to come out of the gates talking about affordability. And after the speech, you have Governor J.B. Pritzker, who some say he's looking to make a bid for the White House in 2028, responding. So let's go ahead and hear some of what the president had to say last night in primetime about a variety of things, including showing some graphs comparing the Biden administration with the Trump administration when it comes to wage growth.
Years of record-setting falling incomes, our policies are boosting take-home pay at a historic pace. Under Biden, real wages plummeted by $3,000. Under Trump, the typical factory worker is seeing a wage increase of $1,300. For construction workers, it's $1,800. It's $3,300. And for the first time in years, wages are rising much faster than inflation. Remember that. Wages are going up much faster than inflation. Very importantly, there are more people working today than at any time in American history, and 100% of all jobs created since I took office have been in the private sector.
So Trump talking about inflation and wage growth. He also talked about the tariffs that have been pretty controversial and being considered by the U.S. Supreme Court.
Already, I've secured a record-breaking $18 trillion of investment into the United States, which means jobs, wage increases, growth, factory openings, and far greater national security. Much of this success has been accomplished by tariffs. My favorite word, tariffs, which for many decades have been used successfully by other countries against us, but not anymore. Companies know that if they build in America, there are no tariffs, and that's why they're coming home to the USA in record numbers.
So you got the president talking about tariffs and how that's bringing companies back to the United States to set up manufacturing centers and so much more. He also talked about energy prices that he says in his 11 months in office for his second non-consecutive term, he's brought down energy prices.
On day one, I declared a national energy emergency. Gasoline is now under $2.50 a gallon in much of the country. In some states, it, by the way, just hit $1.99 a gallon. And within the next 12 months, we will have opened 1,600 new electrical generating plants, a record, and it's a record that won't be beaten by practically, I would say, by anybody. Or certainly not very soon. Prices on electricity and everything else will fall dramatically.
Now, prices of electricity in Illinois on the rise. You've got more policies focused on so-called green energy, clean energy, or renewable energy. And the bill on the governor's desk that opponents say is going to increase the cost of energy even more in Illinois. Illinois has high gas taxes, second highest in the nation. And if you drive across this border into Missouri or Indiana or Kentucky, you'll likely see cheaper gas prices. That's because Illinois tax on like 40 plus cents to every gallon. That's on top of the federal gas tax. Plus, Illinois has a sales tax on top of the gas tax. So Illinois, while you've got policies that the state has put in place, that's causing energy prices in the state within its borders to increase. But across the country, Trump's saying that it's a different story. We'll get to what Governor J.B. Pritzker had to say in an email last night from his campaign, not from his official office, but from his campaign. So obviously it's political, but here's the president talking about health care and how he says that's next on his plate to tackle.
It's the Unaffordable Care Act, and everybody knew it. Again, I want the money to go directly to the people so you can buy your own health care. You'll get much better health care at a much lower price. The only losers will be insurance companies that have gotten rich and the Democrat Party, which is totally controlled by those same insurance companies. They will not be happy, but that's okay with me because you, the people, are finally going to be getting great health care at a lower cost.
So the president talking about healthcare, talking about the economy. He also touched on immigration and border security. But before that, let's go to what the governor had to say from his campaign in an email. He says that President Donald Trump spent 18 minutes boasting about delivering on the economy, despite the fact, the governor says, that all he's delivered is higher prices, stagnant wage growth, and extreme uncertainty for American families. And the governor says the Illinois GOP is letting him get away with it. Quote, Donald Trump's primetime address celebrating his failing economy was an insult to the millions of Americans spending more than ever on their groceries, electric bills, and health care. The truth is, Trump doesn't care how much working people spend at the grocery store. He cares about the corporations and secret donors funding his new ballroom, the governor says. He shares some statistics. Says the numbers speak for themselves. Claims that energy prices are up 13% since Trump took office. Wage growth is at its lowest point since May of 2021. Pritzker says consumer debt is at an all-time high. Unemployment's at a 4-year high as of November 25. Grocery prices have increased overall since he took office, despite him saying otherwise. While nearly half of Americans already report difficulty paying their health care, Trump and his allies are doubling the cost for millions of Americans. And due in part to his tariffs, the U.S. has lost tens of thousands of manufacturing jobs just this year. Governor Pritzker continues from his campaign office. Anyone hoping tonight's address would recognize the realities that families are facing must be disappointed. Trump has no intention of righting the ship. In fact, he's doubling down on policies that are failing families in Illinois. Some Republicans across the country are finally waking up to the MAGA spell, Pritzker says. He says that Trump's already faced political setbacks. The Indiana GOP bucked him on his redistricting efforts. House Republicans voted to release the Epstein files after Trump fought to conceal them, which, by the way, apparently those are going to be coming out tomorrow by the law that Congress passed. So we'll see exactly what comes out there. Voters, even in Republican strongholds, have handed Trump and his party a string of embarrassing election defeats. Pritzker goes on to say, but the Illinois GOP is still backing him 100%, no matter how much it costs working families in our state. The question is, will Illinois Republicans stand up with Trump as their constituents suffer, or will they actually stand up and tell him to stop destroying the economy? The Illinois GOP needs to make a choice. Buck Trump now, or own the havoc he's wreaking on everyday working people in Illinois. So that's the governor's response. Now, I would imagine there's going to be people out there essentially plucking apart what the governor said there and this, holding up a mirror saying, look at Illinois. Illinois' unemployment rate is higher than the national average, always seems to be the case. Illinois traditionally takes longer to recover from economic downturns like the housing crisis in 2008 and 2009, like the COVID pandemic took us longer than most of the country to rebound to get to the job levels pre-COVID. You have the high cost of energy, and it continues to increase more so than other states. You've got high gas taxes. You've got record level government spending in the state. You've got the state state of Illinois with the lowest credit rating of all states. And that's despite having multiple, modifications of the state's credit rating. You've got the highest, pension liability around, with the taxpayer cost thousands of dollars just for paying the pensions of people who are no longer working as public sector employees in Illinois. You've got just a whole host of it, including Illinois' migrant sanctuary policies, which we'll touch on in the next segment. But back to President Trump talking about border security. He says that his administration's getting it in order.
Our border was open, and because of this, our country was being invaded by an army of 25 million people, many who came from prisons and jails, mental institutions, and insane asylums. They were drug dealers, gang members, and even 11,888 murderers, more than 50% of whom killed more than one person. This is what the Biden administration allowed to happen to our country, and it can never be allowed to happen again.
And Trump went on to talk about the improvements he's made.
Starting on day one, I took immediate action to stop the invasion of our southern border. For the past 7 months, 0 illegal aliens have been allowed into our country, a feat which everyone said was absolutely impossible. Do you remember when Joe Biden said that he needed Congress to pass legislation to help close the border? He was always blaming Congress and everyone else. As it turned out, we didn't need legislation. We just needed a new president. We inherited the worst border anywhere in the world, and we quickly turned it into the strongest border in the history of our country. In other words, in a few short months, we went from worst to best.
And the president talking about trying to combat plunder of American resources by individuals with bad intentions.
Look at Minnesota, where Somalians have taken over the economics of the state and have stolen billions and billions of dollars from Minnesota and indeed from the United States of America. And we're going to put an end to it. For so long as before my election, the vast majority of good and decent Americans were forced to watch as corrupt politicians plundered the halls of power, exploited our taxpayers, and pillaged every system that makes civilized society function. But not anymore, and you see that every day, not anymore. We're putting America first, and we are making America great again.
And he also had a message for members of the military. You're getting a bonus.
Because of tariffs, along with the just passed One Big Beautiful Bill, tonight I am also proud to announce that more than 1,450,000, think of this, 1,450,000 military service members will receive a special, we call Warrior Dividend before Christmas, a Warrior Dividend. In honor of our nation's founding in 1776, we are sending every soldier $1,776. Think of that. And the checks are already on the way. Nobody understood that one until about 30 minutes ago. We made a lot more money than anybody thought because of tariffs, and the bill helped us along. Nobody deserves it more than our military, and I say congratulations to everybody. And by the way, we now have record enlistment in our military, and last year we had among the worst recruitment numbers in our military's history. And what a difference a year makes.
That's the president's just highlights from his address, and of course sharing with you what Governor J.B. Pritzker had to say. And if you look at statements from Illinois' congressional delegation, you can pretty much come to a conclusion that it's partisan, right? Democrats blasted the president, Republicans praised the president. And we're going to be wrapping up the year here in 2025, ushering in 2026, which is an election year, midterm elections coming up, and how all the numbers are going to shake out, what the economy is going to look like over the next 8 months or so. Pretty fascinating. But here in Illinois, we've got less than 3 months before the March primary, where Republicans are going to select their Republican candidates and Democrats are going to select their Democrat candidates before the November election. So we've got a lot to cover. All right. It's right here with Illinois in Focus Daily each and every weekday morning. I'm Greg Bishop. Thank you so much for being part of the program and joining the live chat as well. So check that out. All right. It's Illinois in Focus only with the Center Square.